Okay, so here we are in my second installment from the, I don't know, Hammer of Judah or Hammer of God, the Maccabean revolts. I'm skipping the Battle of Beth Horon. It's essentially the exact same battle we just did in the last one. I don't remember what it's called either. I'm not very good at this. Nahal el Haramia. These are entirely unfamiliar to me. My knowledge of this era in this place is essentially nil. But here we hit the Battle of Emmaus. And this is kind of interesting because the Seleucids here have sent a significant force, and you can see, we've got several phalanxes, etc. But they're unable to pin the Maccabees down. However, they do find them not far from their camp, harassing them, and they sneak out for a night attack. However, unfortunately for the Seleucids, the Jews were completely aware that they were coming and pulled their entire force pretty much out of the way, except for a small rear guard set keeping the campfires going to trick that force forward. Now, what's going to happen, there's something like 5 turns for the Seleucids to kind of chase these guys off the map, and then they get stuck. And then dawn breaks, and the Maccabees come in and they attack, coming from this direction and then also from the north, the camp itself, and kind of surprise it. And there are a bunch of rules to take care of all of this. Among other things, we're using the Beneventum map because it's got a fort on it, but this isn't as strong a fort as the Roman forts. Towers don't exist, and this is just a bit of earthenwork around it to make things a little bit more difficult and a little bit more defensive. In addition, the Seleucids have the ability to issue line commands in there without any real hassle. Our special rules, though, have to do first. The first 5 turns of the game have night line of sight, which I think is like 5 hexes. Maybe I'm wrong. I have to look in the Beneventum rule to see that, because it takes care of that. And if the Seleucids are outside of twice their leader's command rating during a night turn, they have a chance of getting scared and losing some tactical quality. Gorgia, up here, has a number of rules restricting him. He basically has to push as hard as he can towards that campfire, chase it off the map, and then, starting with daytime, or if the Seleucids rout, he can start trying to come back onto the map. He has to do an initiative roll, and that's... he's not a bad leader, actually, compared especially to our other Seleucid leaders here. Okay, but what about the Judeans? The rear guard is allowed to start withdrawing, and once they're off the map, the Seleucids have to chase them. The main force can't enter until dawn. Now here, this is weird, because one place they say day and one place they say dawn. Dawn arrives on turn 6. I don't know when day occurs. I kind of assumed that was dawn, but it's kind of weird because I'll put it down to they probably just didn't proof it as much as one might, because it's C3I here. Now the northern group, the smaller force, can be brought in not at any time, but pretty close to that. Basically, once the Judeans start having an effect on the Seleucids here, then they're going to have the opportunity to bring another force into play. But it does take a little bit of command expense to do so, because Judah himself cannot command anything. That's how I'm reading it. He has to expend one of his activations an entire activation to bring those on, even though he's not near them. So the victory conditions for this, well, the rout levels are fairly small. 69 for the Jews. The Seleucids, the main force is only 51, and 16 more for this minor force. Now, the night attack force has a problem. Once they start seeing routing Seleucids, they have to make checks. And if they rout from the map, they're not allowed to recover. Might want to modify that a little bit if they can hook up. Maybe they should become one unit again. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to keep track of either as well. There's also a free setup scenario. I'm not going to do that. So, well, we'll see if this battle's a little better. Now, the Maccabees still have some really kick-ass units. We can see, for example, the night units. But they have some other units that are very good. But for the most part, their units are a little bit more on the reasonable side. They still have also great leadership with the ability to issue line commands whenever they like, pretty much, which is pretty potent as well. The first few turns are going to be kind of dull because nothing can happen except this as far as I can see. Alright, well, we'll see. Now, when I said push as hard as they can, I really meant it. They must take every momentum move, everything, just to keep going. And they've managed to take, some cohesion hits coming forward. Hopefully Woods doesn't cause that. Actually, it should to the heavy infantry. So some of them are a little worse off than they were. I moved up in column for the most part, but these three entered the woods in their last move, so they had to have converted into line formation. So I'll be taking care of that. Now they're going to hit this, and you know what I think we're going to see? I think we're going to see the rear guard just defeat this, because they're that good. We'll see. Well, the lights indeed are running. They weren't willing to fight, and shit. Then we get to see, hey, those heavies, who took an additional hit, they managed to stand. They have slightly better values, but in terms of, those lights only took a 4 tactical quality. But now the heavies are going to hit these guys in the woods. We'll see what happens there. Okay, well, heavy infantry is still heavy infantry, and with its superiority, it was able to smash these pretty hard. So I'm going to have to withdraw the one unit. Now, they could have fallen back doing an orderly withdrawal, but I really wanted to see, could they just defeat this army? They have better mobility, etc., so they're going to have some advantages, but it's not quite as disgusting as I had thought it would be. Those are heavies, aren't they? Yeah. Because if they were mediums, that advantage wouldn't have been there. And the lights can hit the heavies, so we'll see. Maybe they can work out an attack and do some damage and break that thing before it gets into place. I don't know. That's certainly not the goal of this scenario. The goal of this scenario, they're supposed to fall back. They're supposed to draw them in. That may be worse. But I'm just curious, could a couple of these wipe out the entire Seleucid army? Anyway, I have to look at the rules to see whether or not these guys get an action at this point, because the Seleucids have already gone, and they may not. Well, I took kind of a mixed view on it. They did get an action. Of course, they have a higher leader initiative, so they do get to go. They broke this silver shield unit, 2, 4, 5. It's now running away, and then recuperated during one of their reactions. They would have tried to destroy the unit during the next. Those guys are just running, though. I don't know where they go, even. I gotta look up what their retreat edge is. I'm pretty sure it isn't here. But the point is, they're getting attacked from both directions. I'm not really sure where they're supposed to leave by. And that's kind of an issue for the Seleucids. Anyway, that moves us on to the second turn, which I'm marking with this die. It's 5 turns before I can bring the main force on, so we'll see what happens. Now, in the Beneventum scenario, there's a dawn and a few turns before full daylight happens. Here, that's not covered. There's dawn, but I'm not sure how long before full daylight. It kind of bothers me to have the Seleucids able to come right back on the board right away. But, well, we'll give them every advantage they can. Okay, how do you like them apples? One unit just marched its way through, grabbed it trumped in to get the initiative. Not even waiting to trump it on a momentum, just trumped in right from the beginning. Gorgias tried to preempt the momentum die roll and failed, and his entire force is just routing. He's got one unit cut off. That's going to be sliced up. Yes, the Jews are not in great shape here, and this guy had been a 7, but we recovered some more. But they're just that much better that they're able to just march through and cut through that Seleucid army with just a couple of units. And I think they could do the same to the whole army. Just because of mobility, etc., if they hit a flank, how are they going to get caught? Well, the cav could be a problem. The cav could be the one strength that the Seleucids have here. And there's no question, that's the free setup scenario says, hey, let them set up for a free daytime battle here and take most of the advantages away from the Jews. But that's not the historical situation. However, I don't believe this. I just do not believe that, yes, the Seleucids are bad at night fighting, but, I mean, it didn't matter whether it was daytime or night. It doesn't matter what it is. These units are capable of just demolishing an army on their own. And there's a lot of them. And the rest of it's not much worse. There's a big difference between these 6 tactical quality units and a 7 tactical quality unit, or an 8. Well, these are 9s. They're just insane. And here we are at the end of 3 turns on to the 4th, and Gorgias, well, he managed to rally his forces, but they broke another one. And he didn't rally everything. He's down 12. He's got 15. He loses one more unit. His force is routed. It loses the battle. It runs away. This isn't a matter of a pursuit. It's just, hey, they were able to drive him away. Now, even if he comes back and routes him off the map, he still had to spend a lot of time chasing at them, but he may just get defeated here. And these forces are able to come right on. They don't have to stop. They're just too potent for the Seleucids to handle. Well, the craziness around here, in a sense, the Seleucids got an advantage because they got a die roll of doom ending their turn. So they couldn't push their units even further. Now, they would have been basically hitting, and they will anyway, the Jews at, I don't know, 1 point under their failure rate and their depleted level. Well, this guy would be at a 4. These guys, though, wouldn't be able to move, so without routing. Ooh. Yeah, he didn't make it that far. He's back here. But that's one of the problems is, actually I think he's a 3. No, he's not. That's one of the problems is they have to push on as hard as they can. So they're almost destroyed by the time they get there. But the advantage here is the Jews aren't in much better shape. This guy is, but this guy's at a 6. So it's conceivable. I was going to say it's conceivable they might break, but no, it really isn't, because they won't fail the initial contact roll, and they'll end up further below their limit, or less above their limit than the Seleucids will. However, it is turn 5, and I think that's the first daylight turn, so we get to actually, nope, 5th turn is still nighttime. So we got to go through this again for another turn. And I really ought to record these somehow, but they're doing fine where they are. Well, we ended up in a situation I'm not quite sure how to handle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of the Jewish units actually was routed off the map over here. The attempt to rally him failed, but it's impossible to roll higher than a 9, so it just ran away. Is it available to be rallied? I don't know. If not, what's going on here? Is that a penalty? I just don't know what to do with it. But we do have another Seleucid unit routed, which could be the end of this formation if there's a failed attempt to rally it. But on the other hand, the rest of the Seleucids, they were stopped by a Trump action, and then, who is this here? Simon ended up just getting one momentum. Then he got a failure, actually. So he chased one unit off. He wouldn't have been able to do much more anyway. Now we're at daylight. And now the game actually begins. And I'm going to load this one up. Try to figure out what to do about that routed Jewish unit. I think I'm just going to charge it against their army. They were playing a little bit too aggressively here in the corner. And they should have to pay a price for that. Loading this one up and we'll see what happens.